I'm here with Nick, who just returned from Houston, where he visited Invesco Ltd. Nick, thanks so much for being here, and tell me about your trip.
Well, I had the opportunity to visit Invesco Ltd, which is the parent company of Invesco Canada, along with a few other colleagues from our Chicago office. We visited Invesco, which is based in Houston, and had the opportunity to meet with a number of the senior executives and portfolio managers there. We're pretty familiar with the operation here in Canada, but basically wanted to gain some more familiarity and comfort with the parent organization, because inevitably there will be times where decisions do trickle down from that parent. I wanted to make sure that what we like about the Canadian operation also holds for the parent company as well.
And what was your general sense of the company?
I'd say that overall it was fairly positive. We discussed a number of stewardship issues, which, as you know, at Morningstar we're very focused on. So in terms of communication, I think they're quite transparent and strong communicators. It's really become more of an investment-focused culture ever since current CEO Marty Flanagan took over in 2005, moved away from that sort of what they quite candidly admitted was a sales culture, and have also changed from being a more growth-oriented type of shop to a more diversified asset manager. So I think that's also positive. They've shown prudence in launching products. It's an onerous and well thought out process when they do that. On the incentives side, they do focus on having managers invest in their own products, as well as focus on sort of a long-term time horizon and evaluate managers on longer-term periods.
And when you returned from your trip from Houston, I heard you and the other analysts debating the co-CIO structure that they have down in Houston. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. The co-CIO structure means that they have multiple chief investment officers in the U.S. for the various investment teams. It makes some sense, and I think it's worked reasonably well there. Each of the various investment teams also have, in some cases, different strategies and styles, ways of investing. So it does help to have sort of different people in that oversight role. That's also something that's been adopted here in Canada. It may not be explicitly called a co-CIO structure, but effectively that's what it amounts to. And you've got different heads of the various investment teams taking on that investment oversight role as well. And so, internally it is something that we're debating, the merits of this structure, and I think it's just something that over time will show its worth.
And for everyone watching, now that you're back home, are there any lingering question marks that you have about Invesco Ltd?
I'd say just the one thing is that Invesco over time has grown largely through acquisitions. And when you do that, that can be a bit of a tricky thing. It can be a bit of a challenge bringing in new companies and integrating them with your own culture. It could even be up for debate whether they were successful in that regard with the Canadian operation. By and large, I think they have been good with bringing in also the most recent one with Van Kampen, which they purchased from Morgan Stanley. We had members from Van Kampen there in our meetings. They seem to be quite happy to now be part of a fairly stable organization that appreciates their focus on investments. So, but like I said, it is something that you do need to keep an eye on and make sure that these things do go smoothly. And as I also mentioned, we'll be keeping an eye out for the how effective and how well this multiple heads of investment teams works out here in Canada as well.
Great, Nick. Thanks so much for sharing your insight.